we're taking a closer look at two absolute titans in the electric vehicle world, Tesla and BYD. We've really dug into our source material to tackle some key questions for you, like which one truly offers better value?
Right.
Which is actually dominating the global market right now. And maybe most importantly, what do real owners say? You know, once they've actually lived with these cars.
Yeah, what's the day-to-day like?
Exactly. We'll be pulling out the most important nuggets of knowledge to unpack all that for you.
That's right. Our mission here is really to cut through all the noise, all the hype, and reveal some of the, well, surprising truths behind these two massive automakers.
Surprising is a good word for it.
Definitely. We'll dissect their strengths, their weaknesses, and their real-world impact. And it's all based on the detailed sources we've got right here. So, yeah, get ready for some really illuminating insights.
Okay, let's start with the contenders then. Get a feel for who we're talking about. So, on one side, you've got Tesla, the American pioneer, led by, Elon Musk.
Can't miss that connection.
No. And our sources really highlight its reputation for those futuristic features, the seamless over-the-air updates, and of course, its, ambitious self-driving tech. Think Model 3, S, X, Y.
And then there's BYD, stand for Build Your Dreams, for anyone wondering.
Right.
A Chinese automaker. And interestingly, backed by Warren Buffett. Now, here's where it gets really interesting based on our sources.
Okay.
Despite being maybe less flashy, less out there in the media, BYD quietly became the world's top EV seller in 2024. Actually overtook Tesla in sheer volume.
Wow. Okay, that is a huge deal. Quietly taking the top spot.
It really sets up the core tension here, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
If BYD is winning on volume, what does that really say about what buyers want? I mean, is Tesla's whole high-tech premium thing hitting a limit, or are they just, playing different games?
That's a great question. And the sources suggest this isn't just some fluke statistic. It feels like a real insight into maybe a shift in consumer priorities. Yeah. Tesla definitely captured that early adopter market with, bleeding edge innovation. But BYD's rise, it hints that maybe the mass market is leaning more towards accessible quality, practical ownership.
So less about the absolute latest tech and more about the overall package.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
Something beyond just the absolute newest gadget, maybe signaling a broader appeal.
Fascinating. Okay, so let's dive into that tech and features comparison then, because it often feels like innovation versus practicality, like you said. Our sources definitely point to Tesla's tech strengths. You've got autopilot, full self-driving, though we should be clear, FSD is still pretty controversial, right? Lots of scrutiny, safety questions.
Absolutely. Regulatory hurdles, too. It's not quite done.
Right. And then there's the app-driven interface, very modern. The Model 3, for instance, the performance version, 0 to 60 in like 3.1 seconds. That's fast.
Seriously quick.
And the long-range version gets what, 358 miles? Plus that very distinctive minimalist interior, giant touchscreen, and those regular software updates over Wi-Fi.
And those Tesla features are definitely eye-catching, no doubt. But some of our sources do suggest that this constant push for the absolute cutting edge sometimes involves trade-offs.
Like what?
Well, if we shift over to BYD, looking at models like the Seal and the Atto 3, what really stands out is their blade battery technology.
Okay, blade battery. What's special about that?
It's not just marketing speak. It's about the design. These long, flat cells that actually improve the battery pack structure, handle heat better, and our sources confirm this is key to why it's praised for safety and a longer lifespan.
Safety and lifespan? That's big.
Huge. And you also see really strong build quality. The interiors, honestly, people say they rival established German luxury brands.
Oh, really? That's quite a claim.
It is. They offer intelligent driving assist too, but let's be clear. It's not trying to be Tesla's autopilot. It's more of an assist system.
Got it. Less ambitious, maybe?
Perhaps. And while some BYD models might have slightly less range on paper, they often make up for it with faster charging on certain models.
Okay, so beyond the specs, beyond the sales numbers, what really counts is how these cars actually feel to own, right?
Exactly, where the rubber meets the road.
So let's look at user experience based on what we've found. BYD cars seem to be getting a lot of love. People mention comfort, the interior finish, and frankly, the value for money.
Good feedback there.
But then on the Tesla side, while owners are often, thrilled with the performance, the speed, you also hear frequent frustrations. Build quality issues, long waits for service. Does this point to like a basic difference in what each company cares about most?
I think it does. The sources really paint a picture of Tesla focusing hard on pushing software, performance.
Yeah.
Almost like a tech company that happens to make cars.
Right, software first.
Whereas BYD seems to prioritize more traditional car stuff.
Yeah.
Manufacturing quality, making sure the ownership experience is smooth, and that difference in philosophy.
Yeah.
It's showing up clearly in user satisfaction reports.
Makes sense. Of course, for a lot of buyers, maybe most buyers, the biggest factor isn't just the tech or the feel, it's the price tag, the bottom line.
Always comes down to cost eventually.
So let's talk value, especially in those big growth markets like India, which our sources highlighted. For BYD, what are we seeing? The Atto 3 costs around 34 to 35 lakhs, and the Seal model is about 41 to 45 lakhs.
Yeah, those are the figures. And this is really crucial when you compare it to Tesla.
Because?
Well, Tesla isn't officially selling in India yet, but globally, a Model 3 starts around, $39,000 in the US?
Okay.
But our sources project that if you brought that car to India today, after all the import duties and taxes, you could easily be looking at 50, maybe even 60 lakhs.
Wow. Okay. Big difference.
Huge difference.
So if you're looking purely at affordability, especially in places like India, Southeast Asia, the numbers we have show BYD has a really clear advantage. That's got to be a major factor in how they're growing market share.
Absolutely. It's a massive lever for market penetration.
Okay, now, no big company gets this far without some bumps in the road. Let's talk about the challenges, the controversies, the headaches, maybe?
Sure enough, every giant has issues.
Tesla's certainly had its share of headlines, hasn't it? Our sources detail those ongoing autopilot crash investigations. The quality control stuff, like you mentioned earlier, misaligned panels, bad paint jobs.
Things you hear about quite a bit online.
Yeah. And you can't ignore how Elon Musk's tweets sometimes. Well, they make the stock jump around, impact the reputation. Plus, there have been those union fights, labor disputes in the US and Europe.
True. Tesla definitely keeps the news cycle busy. On BYD's side, though, while maybe their PR is generally smoother, they're not totally controversy-free either.
What kinds of things?
Our sources mention some allegations about unsafe battery disposal methods. There are also unverified accusations about using forced labor way down in their supply chains.
Okay, serious allegations, even if unverified.
Right, and some users have reported reliability complaints, particularly in colder climates. And there's just that general observation. Maybe their cars lack that immediate wow tech factor compared to Tesla.
Less flashy.
A bit less flashy, maybe.
But here's a really crucial counterpoint we found. Looking at 2025 user satisfaction surveys, BYD cars actually scored higher on service experience and overall build quality, especially in Asia and Europe.
That's significant.
So what does that tell us? How do those controversies or maybe the perceived lack of wow stack up against the actual day-to-day ownership experience for people?
It's quite telling, isn't it? Despite maybe not having the absolute flashiest tech or facing some of those accusations, BYD's higher satisfaction scores suggest that for a lot of consumers, reliability, solid build, dependable service, that might actually outweigh the promise of groundbreaking, but maybe sometimes glitchy innovation.
So people might prefer a more stable, hassle-free experience overall.
It points that way. A preference for a smoother ownership journey, perhaps.
Okay, so what does this all boil down to for you listening right now, maybe thinking about buying an EV? Let's try to bring this data to life. Let's hear some voices from the road, right, from real owners. Add that personal touch.
Yeah, absolutely. We pulled some specific anecdotes from our sources that really paint a picture.
Great.
So there's Rohan from Bengaluru. He owns a BYD Atto 3. He praises it, says, I'm quoting loosely here, the cabin feels premium. Range is more than enough for my daily 50-kilometer commute. Charging's quick, and the BYD service was surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good service. That counters some narratives.
It does. Then you've got Alex from California, drives a Tesla Model Y, loves the tech, the acceleration, but shares this frustration. Service can take weeks. I waited 12 days just to get a door handle fixed.
Ouch, 12 days for a door handle?
Yeah. Then Sophie from London, she owns a BYD Seal. She actually switched from a BMW i3, found her BYD luxurious and significantly cheaper.
Value and luxury feel combined.
Exactly. And one more Priya from Dubai drives a Tesla Model 3. She highlights how amazing autopilot is on highways, but criticizes build quality. Said something like, my glove box doesn't close properly. For this price, that's just not acceptable.
That glove box issue, it sounds small, but it speaks volumes about attention to detail, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
Especially at that price point.
So What's the big takeaway from hearing these direct accounts? It feels like it really nails that fundamental tension, doesn't it? Is the future of EV ownership about, aspirational tech, or is it more about everyday reliability and just a smooth experience?
I think the sources suggest a clear split in what satisfaction really means to different people. Tesla owners, they often seem to love the performance, the innovation, almost like they accept the headaches, the potential service waits, as part of the deal for that cutting edge experience.
Right, part of the package.
But BYD owners, well, they seem to prioritize comfort, the finish, the overall value. It suggests there's a big market segment that really values practicality and just a consistent, predictable ownership experience above everything else.
So, wrapping this all up, what's the final verdict for you, our listener, based on everything we've gone through?
It's not a simple answer, is it?
No, it really depends on what you prioritize. If you're looking for that absolute cutting edge tech, incredible range, raw speed, our sources confirm Tesla is undeniably your car. Just maybe be ready for a little bit of drama along the way.
Yeah, drama might be the right word sometimes.
But if you want a really solid, well-priced EV, great interiors, strong safety features, and what seems to be shaping up as a smoother, more reliable ownership experience overall, BYD is proving to be a genuinely compelling choice.
Absolutely. And stepping back, the bigger picture here is that the EV race is far from over. And one thing is crystal clear from this deep dive: Tesla is definitely not alone at the top anymore.
Not by a long shot.
And that signals a really fundamental shift, I think, in the global car market. It shows the definition of what makes a desirable EV is getting broader. It's not just about raw innovation anymore. It also includes accessibility, quality, and that whole ownership journey.
Well said. And that shifting landscape really leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. What does this actually mean for the future of innovation in electric vehicles? Is the next wave of, dream vehicles going to be defined mainly by cutting edge software and dazzling features? Or is it going to be about accessible quality, incredible value, and just a seamless, hassle-free ownership experience?
Something to really chew on.
Definitely something to mull over until our next deep dive. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at two absolute titans in the electric vehicle